Hi, team. I am here today to just give you a quick overview on administering DIBELS at UCP. I realize many of us have taken the time to administer DIBELS before. I just want to go over this new 8th edition, the differences and why it's important. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the background and history. And as many of you know, DIBELS has been around for many years, but recently the University of Oregon has extended its research to include grades K to 8 with 6 new subtests that now also include reading comprehension. So DIBELS in and of itself is an acronym, and the dynamic indicators of basic early literacy skills is a set of procedures for assessing the acquisition of foundational literacy skills. And as you all know, with this new House Bill 7011 and the new legislation coming down for reading, it is very important that we understand the foundational skills of all of our students. So DIBELS was developed to measure recognized and empirically validated skills related to general reading outcomes, and these are all research-based, and they are a predictor of reading proficiency. DIBELS are designed to be short, 1-minute fluency measures that can be used to regularly detect risk and monitor the development of early literacy and early reading skills in kindergarten all the way through grade 8. So the DIBELS history has a very long history, and it began in the 1970s, where the Institute of Research and Learning Disabilities began their work on DIBELS. These were developed to be linked directly to a curriculum. Now, with the new 8th edition that we're using, there are no links to the curriculum. Research on DIBELS to this day continues, and they are constantly updating it at the University of Oregon, where they have documented the reliability and validity of DIBELS, as well as sensitivity to student change. So what we're going to be working in is the 8th edition. So research began on the DIBELS in 2016 for this 8th edition. And although the assessments don't look much different from previous ones, the assessments are actually much more useful. The DIBELS 8th edition is the least invasive and one that's most effective in screening students. It is used widely in Title I schools across the nation with students in special education programs and identified with specific learning disabilities like dyslexia, and by educators focused on improving literacy for all students. So it is highly researched and consistently researched. And as you can see, it is one of the large reasons that we're choosing to use it with our student population. So there are 6 subtests that I'm going to review. Each of the subtests have 3 modules, beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year, and also the ability to progress monitor. So what can DIBELS do for us? Why did we choose it? Well, the first thing it can do is screen students at risk for reading disabilities, including dyslexia. It can support monitoring growth of all students and can provide instructionally relevant data for students in grades K through 8. And as a coach, we felt that this would be one of the most important tools you could use to help your teachers in the classroom. Oops, sorry about that. So these are the 6 subtests of DIBELS. The first one, letter naming fluency, which is usually for kindergartners through the end of 1st grade. Students are presented with 100 upper and lowercase letters arranged randomly and asked to name them. They have 1 minute, name as many as they can. The next one, phonemic segmentation fluency, again, is for kindergarten and 1st grade students. This assesses students' ability to fluently segment words into their individual phonemes. This is given orally, and students are verbally producing phonemes. So for example, the word sat, students would say s-at. The next test is the one that everybody knows from DIBELS, and that is the nonsense word fluency test. For the nonsense word fluency test, it is actually a pure measure of the alphabetic principle using nonsense words. Students are given a sheet of paper with nonsense words, for example, words like sig and rol, and asked to either produce the whole word or the sounds for each word, phonemes. So for example, a word like hap, a student could say hap, or a student could go h-ap. Either way, the student would get 3 points for that word. The next, word reading fluency, is actually for grades K to 3. Word reading fluency assessment looks at real and sight words out of context. Students are given the entire word and no credit is given for individual sounds. So unlike your nonsense words, where you can get credit for either reading the entire word or giving phonemes, word reading fluency asks that all you do is give the word. Next, oral reading fluency. So this assesses students' ability to read words in context. The student is presented with a passage and should read the passage aloud for 1 minute. This is like you're running records. You're going to keep track of substitutions, omissions, and hesitations for more than 3 seconds. And finally, one of the newer things added to DIBELS, maze. And maze is reading comprehension. Students receive a passage that has every 7th word removed. There are options to choose from. The score is based on the number of overt errors subtracted from the number correct. And skipped items are errors, but if they don't get to an item because they don't have enough time, those are not considered errors. So let's talk about preparation and getting yourself ready. One of the first things I can tell you that you will need is either a stopwatch or a timer, because you really do want to sit with the exact time. Let's move forward from there. So each subtest has 3 versions. Since it's the middle of the year, we're going to begin with the middle of year subtest, even though we didn't give the beginning of year subtest. The reason why we felt this was a good idea is because we have been getting data from the beginning of the year, and now we have the iReady middle of the year as well. When we're really looking at where a student is going and how we can help them for intervention, we want to stay in real time. So this chart shows you all of the different tests, where they begin and where they go across the grade. This chart, as you can see, DIBELS subtests are about 5 minutes per administration. The estimated times are based on preparation, directions, and administration. Subtests are timed between 1 and 3 minutes each. Overall, it will take you between 5 and 6 minutes to give a test from preparation to end for each student. Okay, administration. It is best if the person who will be doing intervention gives the DIBELS assessment. Although the administrators in the school, your assistant principals, your principals can give DIBELS, it would be best, interventionist, if you are the ones who are giving DIBELS, because you will be able to see and hear how your student is responding. Collection can take place in 2 places. Ideally, we would like to be in a separate location. That way there's no disruptions and you should be able to give the test easily. Sometimes we don't have that. I understand that some of you do not have an office. In that case, maybe you can work something out for a room quietly, and if not, at least a table by yourself where you can give this. I would set aside about 30 minutes over 3 days to test each child. And this is really to prepare them and to get them ready to move, as well as give them the test. Now, I say 30 minutes over 3 days, and that's if you're giving 2 tests a day. I would not go beyond 2 tests. That will be too much for any student. Why did we choose to do it like this? Well, there are advantages. It's less disruptive to the school. It requires fewer people to be trained, and the collection will allow for dyslexia screening in a separate location. So my suggestion to you is, if you really believe that a student may have dyslexia, you want to make sure you are one-on-one with that student in a quiet room. DIBELS also gives us benchmark goals. I've linked here the benchmark goals for each grade. And you'll find that sometimes we set very high expectations for our students, but the research shows that these are the benchmark grades that students should have. When you're looking it over, keep that in mind. So your tools for administration are going to be located in a shared drive in this folder over here, DIBELS 2021-2022. And you'll find that all of the grades are in there. So if I go to the next slide, you will see that when you open up the shared folder under DIBELS benchmark assessments, all of the grades have been separated. And when you click on each of them, you will see all of the subtests in there. So let's look quickly at what a script looks like and the scoring. So this first slide shows us the script for LMF. And as you can see, it's very simple. It's not like our FSA where the directions are very lengthy. It's very quick, tells you when to start the timer, and you get moving. So in that regard, it really is quick. This is why I enjoy the DIBELS. It's really simple. The next one you're looking at would be what a scoring sheet looks like. And again, at the top, you have the directions. And then if you look underneath over here, you'll see that it shows you exactly how the words should be broken up to get a total of 6 points. So it makes it very easy for you. Finally, our last area is progress monitoring. Now, after you've given the DIBELS and you've looked at and you've realized where your student needs to learn, you're going to want to look at some progress monitoring as well. So progress monitoring is when teachers give the same assessment to their students throughout the school year to see if students are making progress toward their reading and mastering curriculum objectives. DIBELS gives us 20 different subtests for each grade. So you have more than enough opportunity to be able to progress monitor with your students. So how are we going to use progress monitoring? When the DIBELS assessment is given to students, teachers can use that information to group students with the same ability levels into guided reading instruction. When the same assessment is given at other times throughout the year during progress monitoring, teachers can still use the data to group students and guide reading instruction, as well as using assessment results to check if students are making adequate progress. If students are making adequate progress, according to DIBELS progress monitoring, then teachers will know that they're on the right track. This will be invaluable not only to your intervention, but if you're working with teachers in the classroom and trying to help them with small group instruction. And again, progress monitoring is located in our shared drive in the DIBELS progress monitoring folder. I've also included for you a link to administering DIBELS if you're hesitant and are unsure how to do it. You can listen to the University of Oregon explain it to you. And finally, thank you for taking the time to watch this. I know you're all very busy, and I am so grateful for the work that you do with our students every day. As always, please let me know if you have any questions.